Well, this gets into your fears because you were canceled.
I was canceled. And like in a very similar thing. That's that's kind of what I was gonna bring up based off
And that's
of
what you were gonna bring up.
what I learned. You know what I mean?
Did you learn, or were you like Kyrie Irving 6 steps back to your life type thing?
Because to this day I lean.
Yo!
Oh my God.
This is an important conversation. It's an important conversation for a lot of different reasons that y'all are going to see. I'm going to stop talking in a sec, but as you're watching it, just think about how America thinks, how Nick Cannon is thinking, and why people hate Candace Owens and the community, whether what a lot of people were saying before. Now I think it's changing up a little bit with Candace Owens be accepted into Black culture and the Black community. Think about why Candace Owens would not be accepted into the Black community, but then Angela Rye feels so comfortable in it. And you tell us, you tell me, or you tell yourself as you're thinking about this, who do we think would be a more mature leader, somebody that we should be following, and not necessarily following as far as how they think, but following to learn different things and to bring about certain things that we should question ourselves and do our own research with? Angela Rye or Candace Owens? All right, let's start this off. And I'm excited for y'all to get into this interview.
You're brilliant enough to be like, all right, I don't have to go out there with my sword swinging. I can take a softer approach and still get the same message across, because like you just said, goodness is ultimately going to be the one to prevail, if you truly believe that.
It's interesting because I don't find myself to be offensive. I just think
everybody else does.
I know. And I think the reason for that is because people don't like hearing the truth.
But I don't.
No, Nick. And let me not... I was gonna say 20. Everybody doesn't find you, Nick. People that are corny and want to paint her in a picture, how it seems like you were trying to paint her in a picture during this interview, thinks that she's offensive. People are starting now to wake up and realize that Candace Owens is just offensive based on the messaging that a lot of these liberals, the Black Lives Matter, the Democrats were trying to compartmentalize and put her in a particular box because they're scared of Candace Owens.
I don't think there's this ultimate puppet master. I've looked for the group. I can't find that physical group.
Well, I'm telling you that the CIA is a part of a group and a global conspiracy to enslave mankind. I will not accept. The conspiracy to me is to try to convince me that the times have changed, and we went from, in the Black community, producing Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston to what really Black people really want to hear right now is Sexy Red.
Session 2. Hopefully some healing from the fire that we started in session 1 with Candace Owens. My goal is focus on compassion. Let's lead with love. Let's go.
Whatever.
Back again on another edition of Council Culture, a brave space, a safe place to have open dialogue. And, we feel together, we reveal together so we can heal together. That's the whole purpose. And I am joined once again by the fearless and the powerful Candace Owens. Welcome back. Our last session ended where you were speaking your truth and some evident truths that a lot of people don't want to hear or agree with. And I ended with a question which I want to start with is like, one, being so fearless, how do you function through every day? I mean, you're also a mom of 3, and I mean, even I was surprised to, even when you showed up, I was like, it's regular, it's normal, and all that's going on in the world, you know what I mean? I would expect you to be traveling with Secret Service, just because of the type of things you speak on, the people that you speak on, and you do it in such a fearless way. How do you get away?
And let me be very clear. They're joking and she's smiling, but to a certain extent, that's who Candace Owens is. Like, don't let the cute face, and if you're not familiar with her, Candace Owens, the things that she's been willing to speak on, whether you think that she's right, whether you agree with her, whether you disagree with her, the things that she's willing to speak on, a lot of people do not have the courage to speak on. And similar to how we talk about a RFK Jr. and some of the groups that he's challenged, which are filled with very powerful people, it is the same thing with Candace Owens. And that is why when she gets on shows with a guy like Nick Cannon or anybody else, if you are coming from an emasculated, and let me be very clear, when I say, no, let me rephrase that. If you are not going to be courageous enough to speak on truth, and if you are scared to touch on certain subjects, you are going to look very emasculated when you're interviewing Candace Owens.
Stay with that.
Well, the first thing is I know enough about history to know that if they want to kill you, the Secret Service ain't going to stop them. That's the first part. You know what I mean? If that was a thing, then JFK would be alive, right? If that was a thing, Trump wouldn't have gotten shot. And so it's almost to me, the security part is vanity for other people. It doesn't actually make a difference. But the second thing is I have faith in God. I know God is real. So there is this understanding that I'm always operating with, that this is not it. And I feel sad for people that don't know that God is real, because I know that they don't believe God is real because of this intentional training that happened in the public school system. It's why your grandparents are faithful. Going back to Tucker Carlson clip where he's like, don't you think it's weird that since the dawn of humanity, everybody knew that spiritual forces were at play, goodness and evil were at play, every civilization. And then suddenly post-World War II in the West, we were like, no, God's not real. And they started training you to believe in yourself. And that gets into all types of satanic religions that want to drive you towards humanism. They want that to be the ultimate faith, to place your faith in humans, to place your faith in science, and to not believe in God, like literally to not believe in God. And people, it's funny to me because they will be like, I don't believe in God. Like, and they think it's a rational position to have, but these will be the same people that believe so much in government. Like atheists are the most faithful people in the entire world. They will, like what I'm saying, hopping on one foot for COVID, trying to stay alive. They don't ask any questions, roll up their sleeve, get a vaccine. I'm like, bro, you got faith. It's just in humans, like, you know, in the ultimate form, scientism. And they've realized that, and they know that they can control you. I mean, the stuff that you see people doing, it should.
Real quickly, is that something that y'all notice? Because she just brought up a great point. A lot of people that don't necessarily believe in God or that don't subscribe to maybe a religion, I'm not sure if she's differentiating between the two. But are those people likely to be the ones that they have gods, but it's just not as far as organized religion? They just look up to individuals. They just look up to different people. They just look up to the government. I don't know. Are the people that are more stand up when it comes to religion, do you think that they were less likely or more likely to get something like the vaccine? Do you think that they are more likely to be free thinkers and to not want government control? I don't know.
Should make you very aware that they have faith, that there is no such thing as atheism. There's just faith in man.
Yeah, you've definitely spoken out that you're, anti-scientism. And scientism being the religion of science. But most people who rely and believe in science look at people who believe in God and spirituality as kooks and also slaves to, you're just going to go with these traditional rituals that have been placed in books and theories that really are based off of allegories. I'd rather go based off of scientific evidence of things that have been proven. What do you say to that?
I think that they probably should know that the Enlightenment was not enlightened. It was the darkening of mankind. The Dark Ages were not dark. They were actually an age of tremendous Christian enlightenment, and all of that stuff has been intentionally buried, and they are very much focused, moving the Bible out of the classroom. It used to be taught, and they want you to believe in nothing other than what they tell you. If you think, and I'll just give you just a perfect example. My children are not vaxxed. I am anti-vax, whatever name the science people are coming up with. And it's just stunning to me that they were able to convince people that their babies are born wrong. Like as soon as your baby comes out, science can fix it. Like, what do you mean? My baby just came out. You're talking about, well, they instantly need a Hep B vaccine. Wait a second, isn't hepatitis B, like, isn't that an STD? Yes, but they need this because, I'm like, this makes zero sense. You're just in the cult of science. It's stupid. The idea that God got it wrong, it's wild. And the funny thing is that the logic that they will apply to themselves for listening to science, they wouldn't even apply it to an animal. Like if they were suddenly like every lion that's born or every lion that's born, we have to intervene and do something, PETA would be outside tomorrow freaking out, like leave them naturally in their, but us, forget it. They legitimately believe that vaccines are keeping their babies alive from the second they come out. That's scientism. That's a cult, right? You are.
What she's referring to is the hepatitis B vaccination. That is known as a STD, sexually transmitted disease vaccine. Why are babies getting them? It wasn't always the case, but why is that just something that is so accepted right now in our culture? And this is what a guy like RFK Jr. is going to challenge. See, and this is why they come up with these terms like anti-vaxxer. Here you can have a RFK who actually is different than Candace Owens, because RFK's kids, he actually did vaccinate. But there's just certain vaccinations that RFK Jr. is questioning based on the research, based on the studies that they've done, and him saying that these studies are not substantial enough to rule them out of negatively impacting our health. So you get a guy like RFK Jr. who will have that mindset, but they'll call him an anti-vaxxer. He can come out time after time and say, I'm not against all vaccines. I just think that we should study them, research them, because some may be causing some issues. Doesn't that seem like a sensible approach? Why are there so many people that are against that? Why are there so many people that are pushing? And it seems like you're just going along with the government, or you're going along with your party's agenda. What did our party say? Oh, our party said that the vaccines were cool. Okay, so they're good. That's what it seems like are happening, when you would think that if this is something that is given to our babies, your kids, the most precious things that I would think that you have in this world, especially in their most precious time of when they're born, why would we not at least question these things? Why would we not at least do the research on them before we give them to our kids?
Are part of a cult and a religion, and you don't understand the science of it at all. If I debate, when I say people call me an anti-vaxxer, I invite them on my show. They never come. The doctors, they never come. I'm like, I know how you get paid. I know every child is a check for you if they go through this system and they keep it, and it's all being funded by Big Pharma. And it is my belief that all of these pollutions, again, because I know that the spirit is real, that all of it is to pull you further away from what would actually be a very natural recognition within yourself. Like you would feel that normally, you would feel this spiritual draw, the spiritual incline. They've lied to you. COVID, you should apply that logic and know that that system of lying was easier when there was no independent media.
Yeah, there's brainwashing. I believe you even spoke of like psychological terrorism.
It is.
That where if they're constantly trying to scare us into control, which I don't disagree on that, but I don't think there's this ultimate puppet master or this group of. I've looked for the group. I want to know who these guys are that are so rich and powerful that they pass it on to their, their offspring and their bloodlines, and they're all keeping the darkness in the world going. I can't find that physical group.
Well,
Nick Cannon is choosing to be ignorant when he says that. He's choosing to be ignorant. He's making it seem like because, it's not like the cartoons where there's just somebody in the earth or somebody in the sky that's controlling things, a puppet master. He's trying to make it seem like because if it's not exactly like that, then what she's saying holds no weight. This is very simple. The people in power want to stay in power. The people with a lot of money want to make more money. The more money they make, the more power they have. They're scared of somebody taking it from them. So therefore, they'll make any decision that they need to in order to make sure that the people that they rely on to give them power stay ignorant, unhealthy, and scared. Ignorant, unhealthy, and scared. Once they have those three things, they know that they can convince people to do whatever they want based on those three things. Whether that's taking a particular jab, whether that's hating a political opponent, whether that's being able to prescribe you certain medicine that's going to get my company rich. Those are the things that these people rely on. I don't know why Nick Cannon is acting like he doesn't understand how all this works. How he doesn't understand who's somebody who's been in the music industry, somebody who's been in Hollywood, who does not understand that they put out certain things to manipulate our minds. Maybe you're not in on those conversations. Maybe you're not in a powerful enough position because maybe you've just been a very high paid employee. And maybe that was demonstrated when they took what we thought was the show that you owned away from you. They took it away from you, and then you had to do all these things and appease all these different groups in order to get it back. Stop acting ignorant. Stop playing dumb, bro.
I'm telling you that the CIA is a part of a group and a global conspiracy to enslave mankind. So let's just go small picture here. The CIA, definitively. Okay. Definitively is a part of the small group of people that are controlling.
So
things,
then, and the CIA technically is bipartisan, right?
Okay, they're not bipartisan. That's the whole point. That they are not Democrat or Republican. This is like the gang. This is the gang that won. And you know what he said before he got shot in Dallas next to his wife as he was going down the street that day? JFK said he was going to scatter the CIA into a million pieces because it was corrupt. And then unfortunately, he was involved in an accident. And that accident was he was shot. And the person who shot him said, I didn't shoot him. That was Lee Harvey Oswald. But then before he could testify about what did or not happen, he was killed by a man named Jacob Rubenstein. And that guy, believe it or not, was MK Ultra'd. Before he could stand trial, he was deemed insane because a doctor working for the CIA went in there and gave him a cocktail of medicine to make him crazy. Now, what's funny about this?
Let's stop that. I think that this is one of the other things that I'm excited about Trump getting in office. He said he was going to release the JFK files. He also said, I think that they were going to release some stuff, some information on 9/11. Released all of it. And it may cause some problems. It may reveal some things with some people, but y'all releasing, I don't forget all releasing all the Diddy tapes and all that. I don't care about that. I want to know what happened with JFK. I want to know what happened with 9/11. Because that's the real powers that be. Don't confuse me with the whole Diddy nonsense. I don't care about that. It's just not on my radar. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't tell me anything that I need to know about the country. Is not going to change my perspective on certain things. I don't even think about Diddy. That's why I don't even talk about that situation on here. Something just came out with Jay-Z on involving the Diddy stuff. We're not talking about it because that's over there. We got stuff to focus on over here that is far more important, in my opinion. I want to know what happened with JFK. I want to know why the guy that they said shot JFK, he said that he didn't do it, but then out of nowhere, or not out of nowhere, before he can even go on trial, he gets killed. And the person that killed him supposedly changed his name from Jack Rubenstein to Jack Ruby. I don't know, but I want to know. Right? Angela Rye, and my Angela Rye voice. Like, I hate when I just don't know. I just want to know. So I hope that they release all that stuff. And it's so funny how it seems like people pick and choose. Like, you'll get a guy like Nick Cannon who says that there's not puppet masters, right? But then Nick Cannon's the same person that claims that he has a good relationship with Farrakhan, right? So did you see the involvement that they had with Martin Luther King Jr.? Taping Martin Luther King Jr., sending those tapes to his wife, the CIA, the FBI, the government. Did you see the involvement that they had when it came to Malcolm X? And why nobody was ever charged for his killing? Why the people that they locked up for Malcolm X's death have been saying that they didn't do it for a very long time. And I believe either one or two of them actually got out. Are we interested in looking at these type of things? When I believe it was J. Edgar Hoover, my apologies if I'm wrong, that said that they had to get rid of Malcolm X because they could not risk him becoming a black messiah for the American people. So how does Nick Cannon now sit back and think that there's no puppet masters that are controlling things? The puppet master is controlled or led by the fear that develops in people that create a lot of power for themselves and build a lot of wealth. Those people, they feel so dangerous. Why do you think that certain individuals, do you think that let's say that somebody homeless, do you think that they feel vulnerable walking through a bad neighborhood? Probably not. Probably not as much as somebody with a whole lot of money, maybe wearing a whole lot of jewelry, maybe somebody with a lot. They got a lot more to lose. And the more that you get, the more that you're scared about losing it. So that's why people act in this panicked way and will do things by any means necessary and justify any action, even if it's hurting another group of people, in order to keep their people in a position of power.
This is Kanye told me years ago, because I am not a person, I have to learn things
Uncle Brother,
in a
I'm
book.
with you.
I need to order the right books. I love to read. But he said something to me, and it sounded wild when he said it to me, that they like made him bipolar. I think he said that, and I don't want to misquote him, but he said something like they made me bipolar, and he was on one of his rants, and it was difficult for me to kind of discern what he meant. And I was there with him when Harley Pashnick was texting him like a totally normal trainer saying, we're going to put you back into a hospital and you'll never see your kids again. Totally normal for your gym trainer to be saying that to you. Totally normal stuff. I think he's an issue. But anyways, he had said that, and that did not make sense to me. I don't want to say it sounded crazy. It just didn't make sense to me. Then I read that book, Chaos, and that guy who got the FOIA requests and declassified the documents and read the conversations between the heads of the CIA and Dr. Sidney Gottlieb. And yeah, they wrote that they could give people schizophrenia, they could give people bipolar disorder via a cocktail of medicine. They can literally induce mental illness via a cocktail of medicine. So this reporter who did this book, by the way, he was like, not at all a conspiracy theorist. He was just a writer for Premiere magazine, and his name was Tom O'Neill. He was tasked by his editor to just write a quick like 30-year anniversary magazine article on the Manson murders. And he was like, oh, this is going to be so boring. I've tapped this 1,000 times. It ended up taking him 22 years. Wow. Because he was like, this doesn't make sense. And then the FOIA request, he ended up getting fired from there. Book deal fell through. He dedicated 22 years of his life to investigating what the hell happened on that night that Americans were told there were these heinous murders that happened. And everything he learned was that there were operatives there that night. The judges were on the payroll, police officers, all, by the way, very much the same. And we don't need to get into this right now, but in what's been put out in that Diddy lawsuit, it's literally.
And real quick, I just started reading that book. Well, I started doing the audio book for Chaos. So that's one of the books that she always points out, and she's been talking about it for a very long time, that I guess uncovers what really happened with a lot of these Manson murders. And apparently, allegedly, she's saying that there was government involvement in that, and that was all like some type of play that they were putting together. I'm not sure about it, but maybe it's something worth, y'all reading or listening to.
The same area that it's happening. Like LA's got a lot of shady stuff happening here, a lot of evil stuff happening here, a lot of satanic stuff happening here. I wouldn't want to be an enemy of the CIA and live in LA. I'll say that for free. Like I wouldn't want to live here because I believe that they obviously do have LAPD police officers that are working for them. And a lot of the stuff that Kanye was saying that didn't make sense now makes perfect sense to me. But now I have I read this book and I've seen the files, and thankfully this journalist dedicated 22 years of his life to present to the public. You have to learn it. It's scary, but you have to confront it. But don't be scared also, because in the end, goodness does win. And that's where just the spirit of Christ comes in. Like, I know how this story ends. These people are evil. These people are demonic. These people are poisoning you. They are poisoning your children. They are poisoning your psychology every day. They have poisoned Black music. It's also what I want to say. That was my instinct. I was like, this is not Black music. Why am I hearing what sounds demonic coming out of people's mouths and what they're speaking about? And some artists have spoken out about the fact that they're being told to produce demonic music.
See, and again, I'm glad you brought that up. And the overarching, I believe either you said something like this in the past, but I know I'm paraphrasing here, that we probably believe the same thing, that ignorance, fear, and confusion is the devil's dominion in that sense. So that's where we're easily controlled, when we don't know, when we're scared, or when we're confused. And a lot of what I hear you saying is that it's not rooted in what we would deem as factual, like you're an avid reader like me. Like I'll read anything and try to understand it, but it's also like, all right, well, show me the evidence, which normally is like science, of that there are people controlling us through our music. Now, as a faith,
Yeah, honestly, even when he started this 1 minute intro to his question, you could tell he's just like, bro, Show me the people that are saying we're putting this music in the black community to destroy them. That's what he's pretty much saying.
Through our music. Now, as a faith, based individual and someone I truly believe in spiritual warfare, I at least for my own psyche, I can say, okay, I see what's happening in black music and in hip hop. I don't think there's a secret meeting going on that, and I've even heard about the secret meeting. I'm like, why? I want to know who was in those meetings.
Why would you be in that meeting, Nick Cannon? Why would you be in that meeting? I'm just wondering.
They were saying, I need you to say all of the horrible things about black men and black women.
Meek Mill had a very viral clip in which he's saying that the record labels pay him more when he puts out ignorant stuff. And he was saying while he was at a NAACP event, giving a speech, that's why he has to balance it out and do events like with the NAACP. How do you... why is Nick Cannon acting? And I should have played the Leor Cohen. We've played the Leor Cohen video plenty of times where he's on the Breakfast Club and Charlemagne calls him out and saying like, well, why would you put these type of artists out that are putting out these terrible messages that you would not be okay with these messages being put out to your community? Leor Cohen is a white Jewish guy. So who actually, I believe he has a very large role on YouTube. So I guess anything that we say about him could be a little bit dangerous, but it is what it is. Why is Nick Cannon acting so oblivious to all these things?
I need you to put, satanic influences into songs and signs and symbolism. Like, to me, that is an energy that, or a spirit that can come upon people to make you want to do that, especially based off of their circumstances. If all I know is pain, strife, anger, hate, I'm going to now, put that back out or regurgitate that to my own community.
No, Nick Cannon. No, Nick Cannon. I'm pretty sure that we felt a lot more pain during Jim Crow, during slavery, during all these times, right? Than now, right? These super oppressive times that we're living in right now. So we'll put out the drill music now, but back then, no, we just, we didn't, I guess we didn't have as much oppression back then. So therefore we didn't put out this type of energy that we're putting out now. Nick Cannon, he's losing me. This is coming across extremely clownish. He's trying to be ignorant, bro. He's trying.
And that in itself is a cycle of darkness and low frequency that we can be removed from. But to say that there's like these secret people coming in and telling us,
I don't think they're secret. I don't think they're secret at all. And there have been multiple artists that have spoken out and said that producers have encouraged them to.
But yeah, that's an individual.
But is that not to believe them?
That's an individual. So
sure,
because like I said, I can find the devil, and I can find the devil in gospel music if I wanted to. But I can also say I can find the God, I can find the good in every aspect, whether it's Hollywood or not. Like there's multiple things where
these artists that we're listening to, yeah, you could find some God in NBA Youngboy, you could find some God in Pooh Shiesty, you could find some God in Dirk's music, you could find some God in Sexy Red, you could find some God in Glorilla, you could find some God in Meg Thee Stallion, you could find some God in Fabio Foreign, you could find some God in K Flock, you could find some God in all these people, right? You can find God in them, in their music. If you look at the overwhelming amount of their music, if you were going to find God in it compared to the devil, God versus demonic, what do you think it would be overwhelmingly in favor of? More demonic, right? More of a takeaway that's going to create me. Is it going to make me, by me listening to this music, is it going to empower me to be more godly, or is it going to empower me to be more demonic? Nick Cannon is acting like a fool right now. He's acting like a fool. He's choosing to do so because, for one, he probably, and I know for a while, and they may talk about this later on, but he had been asking to get Candace Owens on the show for a very long time. To be totally honest, I'd be interested to know who reached out to who about this particular show, because Candace Owens coming on his show, he clearly was nervous about this. He clearly was nervous about this. He had some meetings, I'm sure. He brags about having a meeting with the head of the ADL, or he brags about now having a show with the leader of the ADL after he got in trouble for saying a lot of things regarding Judaism. So Nick Cannon, in my opinion, is just a very compromised person that he's choosing to sell his soul for whatever reason. I don't know what message he's trying to push. I don't know who he's trying to appease. I don't know what it is, but clearly it doesn't even look like he's comfortable. This is not Nick Cannon to me. This is not Nick Cannon. Like, I actually celebrated Nick Cannon for a very long time for being willing to have those conversations that a lot of people weren't willing to have people on his page, and to provide a platform for people like a Dr. Umar, like a lot of these people that have more radical views. Whether I agree with them or not, they still should have the opportunity to speak on certain things and let the people decipher between what we think is real, what's not, what's right, what's wrong. Nick Cannon is not being genuine. And this is the same. This is what a lot of people do not realize. This is why people are attracted to Candace Owens. For a lot of reasons, this is why people are attracted to Donald Trump. All of this fakeness, and we are choosing fearlessness over fakeness. Because once you have somebody like Nick, even if you agree with what Nick is saying, let's say that you agree with what he's saying, he still comes across as phony, and you can't really believe it. You can't believe that he believes it, in my opinion.
Where if we even understand what entertainment was designed for, it ultimately is to relieve us of the stresses that everyday life brings upon us.
No, dummy. That's what we were told it was to do. But in all actuality, it was a tool to control our minds. To control our minds and to make a whole lot of money for the people that are going to make money off of it. It was something to just help us relax more. Like, bro, what are you talking about? No, it's a tool that is being used, just like a lot of other tools, to manipulate our minds, to control our minds, to program our minds in a particular way that the people in power want it to be controlled. No different than when we talk about Big Pharma, and Dr. Casey Means comes out and says how Big Pharma, they pay for a lot of the things that go on when people are at med school. So therefore, you have Big Pharma putting a lot of the money up when it comes to the medical schools. What do you think that they're programming those people to do? People control things with money, and Nick Cannon has too much money and has been in this industry, Hollywood or whatever he's doing right now, since he was a kid. He's been there too long to act this ignorant.
Right.
So again, you operate each and every day in a space of like, look, I'm on the front lines and I'm literally trying to help people understand and get clarity and hear the truth. But when that becomes confusing or it becomes rhetoric, and now I just see people with great brilliance just arguing back and forth about things that ultimately are not creating any gain for either one of the individuals, except for maybe ego to say, oh, I was right, or oh, I read this. Like, knowing your position and knowing what you can offer to the world, how do you differentiate between like, all right, I'm gonna just go ahead and I'm gonna do nothing but speak, against, the trans community, or I'm gonna speak against Black Lives Matter, or whatever that at the moment where you can say clearly you're brilliant enough to be like, all right, I don't have to go out there with my sword swinging. I can take.
Nick Cannon has realized this is what everything that he's saying, it sounds like BS, and it actually, he's making himself sound not as intelligent as I believe that he is when he says this, because he's just reaching, and all he's doing is consulting with his own convenience. That's what he's doing. He realized that, hey, it's actually maybe it's going to be a lot easier for me to be friends with everybody and to not say certain things that will be deemed conspiracy theories, or just be deemed as something that goes against the quote unquote establishment and people in power. He's realizing that, oh, yeah, they'll take my show away, when I actually stand up and speak on certain things that I believe are truths, but that need to be spoken about. They'll take my show away, or I can keep my show. And maybe now they're even offering me some bonuses if I avoid those things and move in a different direction. Yeah, I'm going to do that other direction. That's what's happening right now.
Take a softer approach. I can accept, I can love everyone, give everyone an opportunity, and still get the same message across, because like you just said, goodness is ultimately going to be the one to prevail if you truly believe that.
Yeah, well, goodness prevails when good speaks out. We can't just sit back and do nothing when we see it, and we have to call it like we see it.
You're
like,
gonna be like Peter and just go cut everybody's ear off.
Yeah, I'm not even.
But Jesus was like, Peter, fall back. Give my man his ear because he needs to hear this process.
I think it's interesting because I don't find myself to be offensive. I just think
everybody else does.
I know. That is correct. And I think the reason for that is because people don't like hearing the truth. And I think it's because they know it's the truth deep down and they have like a visceral response.
And I would agree with you. I would definitely agree with you until we start jumping into these spaces that sound very conspiracy theory. I used to be that guy. I was that guy that was like, they're trying to tear us down. And then to your point, which you often speak of, that becomes a victim-like mentality. So my message started to often being like, yes, the world's fucked up. Yes, there's so many, there's more enemies than we know. But I know the God within me and the God that I serve is gonna have them all fall into my feet when I walk into the room, because I know the energy that I possess.
Nick, did they fall to your feet when you spoke on certain things that you thought were your truths, when you brought up certain things, when you challenged certain things? Did they fall to your feet? Oh, no, they took your show. So don't come in here with try to act with the fake masculinity and the fake, yeah, I'm above that, I'm godly. They fall to my feet. Knock it off, bro. You're one of the most successful people in the entertainment industry as far as what it looks like from our perspective. And you had your show taken away from you and you had to appease and beg to get it back. So miss me with the BS, bro. Miss me with the fake masculinity. It's corny. People can read through it. This man is really acting as if like, oh, I don't need to speak on certain things because, yo, like I said, if you bring Candace on your show, she's going to have a lot of people who are moving like Nick Cannon, looking very emasculated.
Yeah.
So therefore, I don't have to come in guns blazing, because if we know the truth and we know ultimately that goodness will prevail, then why can't I lead with love and cut them off with compassion?
Well,
in my opinion, this is why some people when you ask yourself, like, why do you want to be like certain people that want to be famous, certain people that want to be rich, certain people that want to be wealthy, certain people that want to be powerful? Why do you want to be powerful? Why do you want people to listen to you? Why do you want a whole bunch of money? If when you get into these positions, you're not willing to speak on certain things and to stand on certain things, then why have all these things? If you just want to go along with the flow and stuff, then okay, stay over there. But if you're going to have the influence that a Nick Cannon has, what's the point of having it if you're not leading people in a positive way? If you're not willing to speak up on certain things that may be a little bit risky, you speaking on them, but you know that you need to speak on them because maybe you're using your voice to be a voice for other people that may not be able to. Or maybe y'all are just sitting back thinking like, Nick Cannon just wants to enjoy his life. It's totally fine. Cool. I'm cool with that too.
Just don't think it's guns a-blazing to say, only women can give birth. And that's what I'll say, and people will lose their minds. Like that, I will be like,
say that in a setting of people who can't give birth.
But my point is,
so she shouldn't say that only women can get birth. She should adjust what she's saying based on who she's saying it to, or she should adjust her truth. There's not a lot of different ways that you can say women can't give birth, only women can give birth. Is there a lot of different ways to say that? I understand adjusting your approach, your tone in certain ways, but adjusting your truth to appease to people based on the room that you're in, that is not an honorable thing to do, in my opinion.
is it's just the truth. I'm not even here, like, I'm not showing up where people are at and in their faces. They just don't know how to accept my audacity to just keep saying the truth. That is what, because I've thought about this. What is it about me that people are so triggered by? And it's my audacity. Right. Because we live in a world where people will bend to the spirit of evil. They will bend to the spirit of nonsense. They will allow every part of their reason to be stripped away so that they can fit in. And again, this gets into, and this is not conspiracy. In fact, we should stop using the word conspiracy theorist, because we know that was a CIA term that they entered into the lexicon following the shooting of JFK. So they say the word conspiracy theory. That's
the theory is the only thing that's the problem. The conspiracy to conspire is not an issue.
Yeah, but that is the truth. And that is why we should just call it out when we see it. This is what's happening. These people are conspiring. Like, that's what I do. And here's a document you can look at to see when they've done it in the past, and this is what's happening now. And I also listen to people. I don't gaslight people. So if an artist comes to me and says, I've been told to record something demonic, or I had a conversation with Amber Rose, and she
I don't know if y'all peeped it, and I'm sorry to cut it off right here. Oh yeah, while you're in the building, please make sure that you like. That's going to help boost the algorithm. So please like. But what she said earlier, which is that I'm not going to be the type of person that's going to bend a knee. In my opinion, see, that took a little shot at Nick's manhood, because she's doing it in such a strategic way where Nick knows that he bent the knee. Nick knows that everything he's doing right now, his entire approach right now, for whatever reason, I don't know who he bent the knee to. I don't know. Who knows? But it seems as if this is just what I'm getting by listening to this. And if you watch this interview, if you actually go back, I always look at the comments. Nick Cannon, this is Nick Cannon's audience. And I remember looking at one of the comments. I think I took a screenshot of it. And it said that Candace Owens has Nick Cannon's supporters looking at him differently. Candace Owens has Nick Cannon's fans, his supporters, looking at Nick Cannon differently. On his page, usually you go on your page, those are your supporters, your community. Every single comment was shouting out Candace and identifying the fact that Nick Cannon's trying to, we see what Nick Cannon's trying to do. He's trying to finesse. He's trying to be the good Samaritan or whatever he thinks that is. He's trying to just do whatever's best for his pockets and what's most convenient for him.
A couple of weeks ago, and it was a lot of her telling me that she was basically just being pushed by people that you need to be more sexual, you need to be more sexual. I accept that obviously at a certain point, and this gets into why you were saying why I won't bend for money. I wouldn't do it. I'm built different, you know?
I'm built
different. But I also acknowledge that these people are being pushed in a certain direction. Women, you're being told, can you make it sexier? I will not accept. The conspiracy to me is to try to convince me that the times have changed, and we went from, in the Black community, producing Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston to what really Black people really want to hear right now is Sexy Red. And so that's the reason why these record labels are going to Sexy Red and offering her a deal. I refuse to believe that. Okay, so yes, power is held by these labels when they go out, and I don't mean that as any disrespect to her. What I am saying is that frequencies are real.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Frequencies impact your spirit. You and I know that.
There's been brothels and strip clubs and stuff since the oldest profession.
I'm talking about music.
So,
right?
Okay, and like you said,
I'm talking, yes, and you are correct. But Confucius said, listen to the music,
and you'll be able to know the.
And there's a reason for that.
Society.
He knew this. This Chinese philosopher knew this back when, and this people who, in my viewpoint, have a lot of power in the music industry also understand that. There is no reason to fight to put filth on the airways and then try to convince people that it's free speech.
Because it's
in fact,
profitable.
I will tell you a non-conspiracy that you can look up right now, and I'm going to blank on his name, but there is a guy, and if I grab my phone, I'll be able to look it up for you. Literally on his Wikipedia page, it literally says, we created pornography, because I believe the eyes and the ears are the window to the soul, to crush Christianity. He said in an open statement, this is why we created pornography. This is why we and this was back in the 70s. He was the person that brought hardcore porn to the scene. He was like, this is the reason why, to crush Christianity. He said this openly. So it's not a conspiracy when a person is telling you why they control the pornography industry and what they're trying to do. And pornography impacts spirit. Okay,
pornography
it is making
spirit.
People want more demented and more deranged. They don't even know what healthy sex is. All of this is not by accident. So when they outwardly tell you what they're doing, and I'm going to get his name for
Can I just stop 1 second and just refresh our minds real quick? Why is Candace Owens hated so much? Why is she looked at as radical? And she's looked at as radical by the same people that love Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So you love AOC, but Candace Owens you despise. You won't listen to Candace Owens. Show me who you listen to. Show me who you look up to, and that'll tell me everything that I need to know about who you are and who you will probably become.
For you, because I want to make sure that people can look this up.
It'll be in the comments
on his Wikipedia, where he literally said that. This is why we control the pornography industry, to crush Christ. We hate Catholics and we hate Christianity. Now you say today, is that a conspiracy? If I quote him, and I'm gonna have to get his name because otherwise people are gonna be like, what is his name? What's his name? And I'll pin it whenever you put this episode out. Yeah. But I thought there's no way this person. Sure enough, he said it. I'll tell you who he is. He was the founder of Screw Magazine. Right.
I mean, and that sounds logical. Like, to me, that's not as far-fetched as there's the
conspiracy is against Christ. That's my belief. I believe, and that's why I say you have to start with understanding that there is a conspiracy. Okay. But it's not a conspiracy theory. There is a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy.
And it is a conspiracy against Christ. Okay? Which is why I say, how is Hollywood, how is it plausible that it is a literal inversion of the Bible? They don't agree with one point, not even one point of the Bible. We can't even say women and men are different anymore. Like, can we agree on one point? They're like, no, we have to take the Bible and say everything about it is wrong.
But can we zoom out just a little bit? And just even to your point, if there's a conspiracy against Christ, which is your spiritual beliefs of like, this is the right way to live your life. The good way.
The way, the truth, and the light.
The truth and the life. There's a balance in that sense of like, there's good and evil. So in that, why can't we just say, because you're talking spirituality. You're not talking individualism. You're not saying that this individual is looking to, or even like the man that you just described, he was saying he has such a vitriol response to organized religion or whatever, Catholicism, that he was saying, I'm going to do something in this space to therefore try to tear that down, which we know he can't tear it down because it's the ultimate power. It's the truth, the way, and the light. So we can point fingers at that individual, but you can't say that he's the one ultimately controlling all things evil just because he's the one that spoke out against
No, but I was just saying that if I had not produced, this is one of the founders of pornography in America. So like, how do we get to this? How do we start from everyone's going to church?
Isn't this just very simple? Like, Nick Cannon is trying to make it out that because there's not a devilish team, like of people that, and there may be, but he's trying to say because there's no, team devils, and they got the leaders of the mainstream media, the people who are the most powerful in the music industry, the people that are most powerful in Hollywood, the people that are most powerful in the politicians. And I actually do think that there is some communication between a lot of these groups. And even, what did they say? The CIA, I believe, has a budget in Hollywood. So Nick Cannon is trying to present this as if because there's no team that we see that they're meeting and getting together and saying like, hey, okay, boom, our objective is to keep Black people down in this area, to keep look at what's going on. All you have to do is put money out there. Some people are going to be the George Soros of the world, where they're going to put a whole bunch of money to Black Lives Matter, to this organization, to that organization. And if you look at the history of George Soros and what his objective is, it's very, a lot of people would say it's demonic. I guess that's depending on what side that you're on. But there's going to be the George Soroses that want their names out there as far as the donations that they're giving. But there's also going to be a whole lot of people that would rather just sit in the background and just control things with the money. That is a very real thing. And Nick Cannon is trying to act as if that's not the case. So if you look at it, whether or not, it's very simple. And is this action more on the demonic side, or is this more godly? And these people are obviously leveraging each other to push more things. Pornography, he's pretty much saying that, because the guy that headed or started pornography is not in the same rooms as the people that are controlling the music industry. And of course, there's no group that's just playing puppet masters. Bro, this is very simple. There's just people that are playing demonic roles in different parts in order to receive gains or even in order to push their agenda, whatever it is. There's people that are doing these things and that they're just working their particular angle in whatever their industry is to push these more demonic practices.
Together to now OnlyFans, right? Pornography was introduced into the American psyche.
And do me a favor, please like. That's going to help boost the algorithm, get as many people in the building as possible. Appreciate y'all.
For a reason. And it is in a war against your spirit. It is meant to disrupt your relationships. It's meant to pollute the idea of monogamy. It is a weapon. I want to be very clear. Pornography is a weapon. Okay? I'm going to have you look up Sav, founder of Screw Magazine. Al Goldstein.
Yeah.
Go to his Wikipedia page. You'll find the direct quote of what Al Goldstein said. I actually want you to find the direct quote of what Al Goldstein said about Christianity. Now, if I had said it and wasn't Al Goldstein, I'd be called a conspiracy theorist, right? This is one of the weapons. Pornography is one of the weapons that is being used against Christ. And people today, you have to go all the way back and now people go, oh, it's about First Amendment. This is not about the First Amendment, okay? Watching people essentially, what I would say is act out a demonic fetish is not, okay, they understand that it's real, but they're going to tell you that this is just free speech. No, you are watching
liberation.
This is not liberation. This is enslavement. You are watching rituals. Demons are jumping inside of you when you watch this stuff. Now, I wouldn't have said this when I was in high school because I learned in high school, in health class, in sex ed, that it's healthy to watch a little bit of porn. Do you not see a conspiracy in that?
It's a little healthy to know what's going on.
No, it's not, because that's not what's going on. They're setting your tastes. That's what I'm saying. These are the taste makers. They are setting your tastes. This is not normal, and it's getting more and more deranged. So when you see this explosion of men that are homosexual, my husband has a theory that all pornography is homosexual porn because men are watching other men have sex with other women. But anyways, the point is that it's inspiring people to want more and more deranged, demented things. They pursue that. It is a demon that possesses you. And what they do is they very slowly introduced more demonic things. So it used to be, it's just pornography, a woman and a man having sex. At least it's a woman and a man having sex. Then it became like, it's going to be gay. Then it became, now it's going to be trans. Then it came, oh, she's going to dress up like she's 14 years old. That is introducing to the palate pedophilia. Okay?
I don't know why she has to break this down to him the way that she's breaking it down. It's very simple. We're influenced by the things that we consume. We're influenced by the things that we consume, whether that's eating food wise, the things that we consume as far as what we're reading, the movies that we're watching, what we hear, different senses, the things that we see. We are influenced by that. So I don't understand where Nick is so confused on all of this, or just not doubling down and agreeing with her to say, like, okay, boom, clearly this is something that is playing a significant role in the way that we live our lives. He may not want to acknowledge those things because obviously he gets a lot of heat. For those that don't know, I believe he's got like 10 baby mothers or something like that. Like, that's just what he's choosing to pursue. Now, he may be able to afford it. He may have some reasoning behind it. That's all fine. But for him to not acknowledge the fact that the porn industry and what porn has done, what hip hop music has done, what all of these things have done working together in their own individual industries, it has caused us a lot of suffering. It's caused us to have a particular mindset and perspective on things that harms us in the long run. All of these decisions that we're making, whether it's casually having sex, what is that going to lead to? Now that we casually have sex, now we have this big thing with abortions, right? So we have these big things with abortions. Now the people that Margaret Sanger and the Planned Parenthood, they can make a whole lot of money. So therefore, what do you think they want to do? They want to push, more porn, more lyrics in songs that are encouraging people to just have casual sex, all these different things. Why are we acting as if we're not like brought up on this, as if there's no form of nurture? Like, are we just looking at this as this is just 100% nature? That people just are now more sexual beings than they were maybe in the past? No, it's the things that we're consuming. It's the culture. Our culture determines how we see the world. Yes or no?
And that's the same thing. You have the quotation?
Is it the one that says the only reason that Jews are in pornography is that we think that Christ sucks?
Direct quotes.
But that's
Direct
a,
quote. So, what?
He has a lot of really wild quotes.
But
I know,
again,
but
so
he's
you-
one of the founders, of the earliest people that brought hardcore pornography to America. So it's like, to me, it's so patronizing when people are like, it's a conspiracy, when he can just outwardly say what he was doing. He told you what he was doing. And listen, again, he's one person. Now, I think where
that's all I was saying.
Exactly.
Is just one
But
person
that-
of
but-
him,
but-
or
but
whether
it's
you bring up him or Margaret Sanger or whoever, the individuals that can have took something and demonized it.
But they brought it. It wasn't demonized. It is demonic. They brought something that was demonic to American culture that did not exist before it, with a very clear understanding of why he was bringing it.
So let's
then they fought to
thread
get
this
laws
thing.
passed to allow pornography more freedom than it's ever reigned. So it's like, you can't ignore these steps.
So let's
and
thread
then
this thing, because I need to make this clear, because my ultimate thing where I was strongly disagreeing with you is that we were saying that there's this ultimate group of individuals, like whatever dude's name was, that are saying, oh, we're all conspiring together to bring evil to the world and to fight against Christ. Now, if there's just one sick
It's not one sick individual. It's
What is Nick arguing? Because they're not best friends and live under the same roof, that they're not working to push the same type of agenda? Like, what is Nick Cannon arguing, bro? That's like saying, oh, well, I'm in a fraternity, I'm a Q. Bro, if you're a Q at Florida State University, you may not know the person that's a Q at a school in Seattle, but y'all still a part of the same organization. Like, what is Nick Cannon? Like, I don't know why he's choosing to stand on this argument. We're going to move on. We're only going to listen to a couple more minutes of this because we got a couple other videos to get to, but I just don't know where to press the stop button.
there's
and
a
they're
group,
all of it. They all in a group in a room together.
Not in a room together. They're like I believe, and this is after I did an episode on this, which people should watch, about the origins of NASA. Satanic, literal satanic. Okay, so you can't sit here and ignore the fact that literal Satanists, and I believe that it was this group of people. The religion was called Thelema, satanic. Aleister Crowley is a name that people are familiar with. They established NASA. They were saying satanic chants every time they were lighting a rocket in the desert over here in California, in Pasadena, or actually Devil's Canyon. And they were open about the fact that they were having demonic sexual rituals, believe that they had summoned demons. This is not a conspiracy. This is on Wikipedia too. Look it up. Look up Jack Parsons and what he contributed to NASA. What is NASA? Nobody knows. It's a conspiracy to say, that we didn't go to the moon. Okay, well, we didn't. Okay, it was a psychological operation so that they could just take trillions and trillions of dollars and nobody knows where it's going. It's a black op.
So when someone who's watching this, obviously
budget.
the people in the comments, they're going to be like, yo, she's crazy.
They're not, actually, because I think people are now awake to this. Look it up yourself.
No, there's some people that are going to agree with.
I'm telling you who you can look up. So
I'm with you,
go
MJ.
watch my episode on the satanic origins of NASA. It's not a conspiracy. Openly, Jack Parsons was considered the protege of Aleister Crowley. These were literal Satanists, right? He wrote an entire book. They believed they had summoned demons. He was trying to get a woman who was a virgin pregnant via satanic rituals that were happening out here in California. He wrote to Aleister Crowley that he was going to produce a moon child, as he called it. This is on Wikipedia. I'm not like Reddit threading you guys here. You can look this up. Jack Parsons, he did this, and then he said he was successful, that he got this woman pregnant, and he called it his moon child. They were having these sexual rituals right out here in Los Angeles, in Pasadena, and they were getting caught when the police would come over. They were being funded by universities. They were being funded by the government. The government gave him a deal to be able to do this. So again, the Gutenberg family, Guggenheim family also funded him in his experiments, and he was openly a Satanist. So I'm not saying stuff because I want you to become a conspiracy theorist. I'm saying stuff because I want you to at least begin doing some surface Wikipedia searches, because we are not going to win if you're too afraid to call these things what they are, which is satanic. We are fighting a spiritual battle. The conspiracy is against Christ.
So I'll go here a little further, because when we speak of spiritual warfare, we know that to be real, but people come from different walks of life and have different beliefs in where the spirits enter and what's demonic, what's satanic, what's not. Even based off of all of the 40,000 different denominations of Christianity. There's certain things that we believe we can do that we can't do based off of our traditions and how we're picked up. But in ultimate, when we're in this current day and age, and we're sitting here and we're in cancel culture. And like I said, I was saying, like, there's gonna be some people that are like, oh, she's crazy, but then there's gonna be some people that are like, yo,
Wikipedia.
but they're saying, yo, we're scared of her. She's saying things that we have to silence her.
Mm-hmm. Well, this gets into your fears because you were canceled.
I was canceled. And like in a very similar thing. That's kind of what I was gonna bring up based off.
Hey, y'all gotta pay attention to posture. Yo, Candace is a savage. And she does it from such a professional standpoint with so much grace and still with femininity. Did y'all just hear that exchange? He just went on this soliloquy saying a whole bunch of, I don't even know. And listen, this is what gets into your fears because you were canceled. And then look at how he sits up like, whoa, like feeling the need to defend something. And he doesn't even know what he should do, what he should say. Look at this exchange.
Of her. She's saying things that
Wikipedia.
But they're saying, yo, we're scared of her. She's saying things that we have to silence.
If listen, and this is the same thing that I always tell y'all, man. Ladies, this is for the black ladies, for the black women. All this stuff that I hear from these men, these liberal men and Democratic men and a lot of other whatever. I shouldn't even have compartmentalized it, but it is what it is. Think about the men that are out here saying, we got to protect black women. We got to protect black women. Black women running around saying we are the most unprotected group of people. Then you have Nick Cannon sitting here talking to Candace Owens, sitting here leaning up and saying, well, this is where they're going to say, she's just so dangerous because she's willing to speak. Why aren't you speaking on it, Nick? So then maybe she wouldn't have to. You started off the show saying like you were surprised that she came into the interview with everything going on without the Secret Service because she speaks on certain things that are against very powerful people that we know when their dollars are threatened, when their way of life is threatened, when exposure is threatened, they will go to any means in order to end that threat. So you're aware of that, Nick. But then you sit here and say like, yeah, this is where they're going to say like, she's so dangerous because she speaks. Why aren't you willing to speak on those things? If black women are the most unprotected group of women or group of demographic, and if you're a stand-up man, right, Nick? You got like 10 baby mamas, right? So if that's the case, why aren't you willing to speak on the things that Candace Owens is willing to speak on?
Silence her.
Mm-hmm. Well, this gets into your fears because you were canceled.
I was canceled. And like in a very similar thing. That's kind of what I was going to bring up based off.
And that's what you were going to bring up.
What I learned. You know what I mean?
Did you learn, or were you like Kyrie Irving 6 steps back to your life type thing?
Nah, because to this day I leaned.
Yo, and we gotta acknowledge Kyrie did it too. I mean, Candace is saying it. Did you really learn, or did you just do whatever steps that were told to you to do or recommended that you do in order to show to us that you've learned from your mistakes? Yo, do not bring Candace Owens on your show unless you are willing to be real, open, and honest, because she's going to have your people looking at you differently. She's going to have you looking very emasculated. I keep saying it, yo.
6 steps back to your life type thing.
Because to this day, I leaned into everything I said, from whether sitting with, Minister Farrakhan, who told me that if there's something that I said that wasn't true, do away with it. But if it's truth, continue to speak truth to power. And in that sense, I have a podcast with the CEO of the ADL, and Jonathan and I have difficult conversations and go back and forth, because it's like, if I believe something to be true and it's my truth, I don't care who hears it. Now, until you're
Nick, who are you fooling, bro? We saw what happened. And he just felt the need to throw out Farrakhan. That's what a lot of black people do. I feel like when they just got called out and they may be feeling a little emasculated and feeling like they turning their back on the people, and you feel like you're allowing these other groups to bully you, that, well, I had these combos with Farrakhan. Okay, you just said that Farrakhan told you that if you believe something and it's the truth, then stand on it, right? But then when it comes to something that you're not, then make those adjustments, obviously. But then he goes in to say that, yeah, I got a show with Jonathan Greenblatt from the ADL, who and we have these tough conversations. Nick, nobody, especially after watching this interview, is thinking that you and Jonathan Greenblatt, apologies if I'm mispronouncing his name, nobody is sitting there thinking that y'all have genuine conversations to where you're not feeling like you got to appease the mission and what he wants to get across in the conversation. You're not even willing to be real in a conversation with Candace Owens. So what do we think that you're going to now? How do we think you're going to behave in a way where that conversation with the ADL, I believe when he was saying a lot of those things, don't quote me on it, but a lot of the things that he was saying, wasn't the ADL involved in calling him out on what he was saying and identifying it as anti-Semitism? So, Nick, stop. And then you bring this up. And Candace, I'm glad that she didn't take the bait, because a lot of us, if you follow Candace Owens, you know that she currently, she's over the last year, she lost her job. She lost her job at the Daily Wire because they deemed her anti-Semitic. She's waged this, I'm not going to say wage this war against, but she just hasn't been willing to back down on certain things, that she said about the Jewish community. Now, people may think that she's right or wrong, but for him to bring that up, I'm just glad that she didn't take the bait and get into a whole conversation on that. Let's keep it on Nick. Let's keep that energy on Nick.
I believe something to be true, and it's my truth. I don't care who hears it. Now, and to your point, and because it happened to you as well, where someone can take, we're sitting here, and because it's probably gonna happen with this interview.
With me.
We're sitting here and we're saying things in the goal to counsel people, but someone would take a clip and say you said this or said this like this. They're gonna be. You called a certain group of people satanic, and
they literally said, like, I'm
just talking about what's going to happen.
And by the way, I'd like calling them satanic because it's not Christianity, it's not Judaism, it's not Islam. Okay, that's important. They actually they're hiding within all of these religions, and they get people to react. So it's like, this dude obviously is not a follower of the Torah, right? He happens to be Jewish, but he's obviously not a follower of the Torah. No, a follower of the Torah would not be saying what he's saying. Jack Parsons, I believe, on paper, his parents were Christian, right? But he's not representative of the Christian community. He worships Satan. I mean, he worshipped Aleister Crowley's religion, which was known as the Lema.
So to get back to what I was kind of zoning in on, and when we have every right intention to spread truth, to put, hopefully, I don't want to get on a high horse, or like to save, people from damnation or being influenced by Satan and demons, but our own rhetoric is used against us to call us hateful, to say that we're anti-Semitic, or to say that we're self-hating, or we've been broken, and all of the things, Uncle Tom's, where ultimately, like, and we said this in our last session, and I say this here, where I don't see in our exchange of energy and even discourse, I don't see someone hateful. I don't see someone with an agenda to whatever they think your agenda is. I see someone who's really trying to help and educate people, someone who's brilliant and wants everyone else to read what she's read, know what she knows. But like me, like you, when you can say something that offends someone and someone's emotions get involved, then that becomes the story. That becomes the attack on Candace Owens, opposed to your ultimate mission where you were really just trying to help people. So what I learned through the process is, and it's funny, as a father, I learned this and deal with this with my son, is like, when you start throwing rocks and someone gets hit by a rock that you weren't intending to hit with that rock, you still got to apologize. You still have to understand the power in which you have. Your voice is so strong. The words, the knowledge that you have, that if you, not even if you say it wrong, if you say it correctly, they're going to dice it up and use it for evil. And in that sense, if you want to continue the mission of good, if you want to continue the mission of God, you have to you got to rise to a higher frequency and say, you know what? I apologize that I hurt you. And
See, I can't do that. If I told the truth and you got
Like, who is Nick talking to, bro? Like, you gotta do that. No, Nick, you had to do that to get your show back. Let's not act like you had to do that. You had to raise your frequency and apologize for the greater good of the influence that I'm trying to create in the world. No, you were trying to get your show back. Who did? Yo, people know this is why. This is when you lose your audience. This is when people start to look at you a little funny when it's like, bro, like, nah, that's not consistent. Like, you're trying to play me. You're trying to present something to me to lean me one direction when we see the play. We see the play.
I apologize that I hurt you. And
see, I can't do that. If I told the truth and you got hurt by it, I can't apologize.
Why?
I absolutely refuse to do
what
that.
is stopping the goodness in you?
Because
then
I would be lying.
See, this is the problem that we face with a lot of issues that go on right now. And this is why, in my opinion, this is just my opinion based, not scientific or not. I'm not a doctor, right? This is why we have a lot of the issues that we have in this country. This is why we are so unhealthy, in my opinion, physically, mentally, and spiritually, because too many people are scared to tell the truth, because the culture of our society right now is that you telling the truth, if you don't say it in a way, or if you don't massage it to people, that it's bad, and that person should have to apologize because they hurt my feelings. If I tell you that, yo, you're overweight, you're unhealthy, this is not good, it's disgusting what you're eating, it's nasty, it just is what it is. Some people say, oh, people will be more mad at take more offense to what I'm saying rather than understanding exactly what your position is as far as being unhealthy. It's like, and this is why I tell people all the time, play sports, bro. You have to play sports. You develop so many different skills, but one of the most valuable skills is the ability to accept constructive criticism. Like the ability to think about it like this. We are missing, if somebody's giving you the game, giving you a gem, do you not want to receive the gem? Let's say that I'm the person that's giving you the gem. Let's flip it. If somebody has something that they are going to give me, enlighten me, to help me live a better life, am I going to focus so much on their delivery, or am I going to focus on the fact of what they actually said and use that for me to become better? From a selfish standpoint, forget how they said it. What was the message? What was the meaning? Those are people that become successful in life. People that can take constructive criticism, people that invite and welcome criticism, because they know that no matter how that criticism is directed at them, they're already internalizing it and looking at it like, well, damn, is this right? Is this something I could work on? Is this, not to lose confidence, but to be confident enough to say, okay, I'm going to receive that criticism and process it. And I'm confident enough to where it's not going to shake me. It's not going to break me. It's not going to do anything that may shake my confidence, even if it's not true. I'll take it for what it is, think about it, internalize it, and certain things that I may have to work on. I'm sure you can always find something that you can improve on, rather than just saying, no, the way that they said this, for even saying it, it's offensive, it's hurting. This is why our society is what it is. This is why people are excited to have somebody like Trump back in office, because we've had this society that is so pandering, that is so toxic masculinity, that is so against people just being direct and being genuine, that people are now screaming for it to come back. And this is why now people are so excited and accepting of Candace, where people are starting to hear her and be like, you know what? Like, yo, more and more people, watch how more and more popular Candace Owens is going to get compared to a lot of these other people like the Angela Rise and maybe even the AOCs. Well, I'm sure AOC will still have, the whoever's on that end pushing her. But just watch how popular Candace Owens gets.
I am never sorry when I tell someone the truth. I'm never sorry when I tell someone the truth. No,
you're a mother.
I'm a mother, yeah. And
you know your children's
listen to this.
Feelings.
We're not dealing with children. That's the problem. We're dealing with adults. Yeah, so the idea of me apologizing and this is funny because I was texting.
This man uses an example to relate kids to it. Yes, that's the problem, Nick. People are behaving like kids. When you tell a kid something, they may respond like a child and throw a tantrum because you didn't say it nicely, mommy. You didn't give me milk with it. You didn't give me a cookie. We're grown-ups, Nick.
Adults.
Yeah.
So the idea of me of apologizing because, and this is funny because I was texting earlier with Ray J. He saw a clip of me and Don Lemon, and he was saying,
That's
you
a
know,
hilarious clip. Just you texting with Ray J.
and Don Lemon was looking for an apology. Oh, this clip. Oh.
Yeah.
And Don Lemon was looking for an apology, but Ray J, I guess, was saying that he knew some trans women, and I'm like,
Or he has a whole trans
exactly
network,
and it's just
thing
whatever he's doing there.
Yeah.
To me, is demonic. It's demonic. It's because it's a lie. Okay. And so I was like, yes, let's have a conversation. Of course, respectfully. If you say to me, you should respect people, I always respect people. I would disrespect you if I lied to you. I'm not going to call a man a woman. I'm not going to call a woman a man. I'm not going to say sorry for telling the
your
truth.
Beliefs.
It's not my belief. A woman cannot be a
It's my beliefs that only women can get pregnant. This is the world that we live in because of people like Nick Cannon, because of people that will compromise themselves for money or for whatever influence and power that they want to go after. So they'll accept people saying, well, you know, some men can get pregnant. They will accept that. This is the problem with our society. And Nick doesn't even realize it. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, that he's a pawn in this system.
I would disrespect you if I lied to you. I'm not going to call a man a woman. I'm not going to call a woman a man. I'm not going to say sorry for telling the
your
truth.
Beliefs.
It's not my belief. A woman cannot be a man. A man cannot be a woman. It's not a belief.
But I'm saying in your perception of the world is different from someone else's perspective, because just as emphatic as you are, that you believe what you just said, there's someone that believes emphatically the opposite.
Okay, so what you're talking about is the idea that everything can be subjective and there's no such thing as truth. And let me tell you why that. But that's why it's either a yes or a no.
No, because we're either talking about feelings or facts.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I believe there is objective truth. Okay.
Okay.
A person that is born a man, okay, a person that is born with a penis, as we call it, okay, cannot ever grow up and give birth. Do we agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so there is such thing as an objective truth. I will not apologize for sharing objective truth. I'm not going to apologize for not saying because his feelings are hurt and do you see how I feel? Because
so you have no problem going throughout the world hurting people's feelings.
I have no problem going out the world. That's one way to pitch it. Telling people the truth so they can better their lives. So they can live in reality and not the one, not this fantasy land that they're creating for their lives.
Yo, are y'all listening to Nick Cannon? This is worse than when I heard it on the first time. When I heard it the first time, I was in the car, so maybe I didn't have the visual. This man said, why can't you still apologize? Did y'all hear this?
People's feelings.
I have no problem saying because his feelings are hurt and do you see how I feel? Because
so you have no problem going throughout the world hurting people's feelings.
I have no problem going out the world. That's one way to pitch it. Telling people the truth so they can better their lives. So they can live in reality and not the one, not this fantasy land that they're creating for their lives. But what if someone
believes that is a better life for them?
Okay, well, let's play it your way then. Let's do it the other way. There are a group of people who are now referring to themselves as minor attracted people.
Oh, I knew you was going. Can't go there.
Hey, but that's what they believe. They believe that they are in love and want to have sex with children. They believe that, Nick. They believe it. And are you going to apologize when you call them pedophiles? Are you going to apologize, Nick? Are you going to have them on your podcast? Don't you understand how they feel on the inside when you say that they can't have sex with 8-year-olds?
That is a hell of a point.
It is. The slippery slope is not a fallacy. It is reality. We are living the slippery slope. So somebody's going to have to produce the wall. So there's going to be a lot of voices that need to be objective and tell people the truth. I'm very happy to be those voices. If you're looking for me to, make you feel good, I can't be your mommy. I can't. That's why I tell people, I can't be your mommy.
But see, that's what I was saying.
I'm not your mommy. You're not a toddler. You're an adult.
But see,
this is what truth is. And if you can't deal with truth, then you're going to have a very tough life, way tougher than having to listen to Candace Owens say, you are a man on the internet.
So, but again, in your ultimate goal, what is your ultimate goal?
For my children to grow up in a world that is still dictated by reality and not feelings, because that's the thing. We are passing this world off. So you have to appreciate that we're now the adults. We're the adults in the room, right? And right now we have a bunch of adults who are too scared to even say the truth. So forget the generations who had to find within themselves the strength to go to a foreign country and potentially die fighting for freedom. We're now a generation where it's so easy for us to preserve freedom. It's so easy for us to preserve righteousness. We just have to be willing to be called mean names on the internet and have mean articles written about me. People say to me, "Oh, Candace, how do you deal with all this hate?" I don't care. Literally, I don't care. It's like I really hope people listening to this understand, before you even write that comment, how little of a shit I give about it. Like, I want you to know that when you're writing it, whatever about her, I just don't care. And it shocks people because I live my life with real truth, right? I have a husband who loves me. I have 3 healthy children. I am close with my sisters. My cousin's here. She does my makeup. Like, the Bible kind of gets it right. If you start living by the Bible, you will have this same confidence. You will find the audacity. You will realize this is not it. So you might as well contribute truth, because you're going to meet your maker. You are going to meet your creator one day. And your creator is not, whatever organization, the SBL, I think I'm on the SBLC's list, the ADL list. I just don't care. Right? They shouldn't put together these lists. They shouldn't waste their time putting me on their list, because I literally don't give a shit. And so that's why they hate me the most, because they know I don't.
I would love to know if, since Nick Cannon decided to volunteer that information, brag, whatever he was doing, saying that he has a podcast with the head of the ADL, I wonder if Nick Cannon challenges the head of the ADL the same way that he's challenging Candace Owens. Just a thought.
Don't fear them. I fear telling a lie. That's what I fear. That's my fear in life.
Wow. So, but and people's feelings don't matter to you whatsoever.
Yo, all right. So let me give. Yeah, so, all right. So this is where I'm not giving Nick any grace, but I'm realizing that what's happening in this, he has nothing to stand on. And this is what happens, and we see this with a lot of Democrats and a lot of liberals. When I say that there's no foundational values and principles that they stand on, the only thing that they do is criticize the Republicans and conservative values. Sometimes they may be right. Sometimes they may be wrong. That's not the point that I'm making. Nick Cannon has nothing to say in this conversation because he doesn't even know the message that he wants to get across. When he asked her, what are your goals? Nick, what is your goal? What is your goal out of this conversation? What is your goal in life? He does not know where to go in this conversation with her. So he just keeps circling back to, so you don't care about people's feelings? Like, this is one of those things that this is not going to get, obviously, Nick canceled or anything. Canceled by who, right? But it is going to have people looking at him differently, in my opinion.
That's what I fear. That's my fear in life.
Wow. So, but and people's feelings don't matter to you whatsoever.
I'm just not their mommies.
But again, because the point that I was making, we'll wrap this session up as well. But the only point that I was making, in someone who has such a strong faith, and is attempting to be as Christ-like as possible, to go waving that sword at everybody that doesn't agree with you. And because ultimately you're hurting their feelings. They're crying. There's an adverse reaction to what you're saying because it hurts them and their well-being. You're speaking to some people that's all they know. That's all they are. Now, if I'm really trying to operate on the highest frequency, I'm like, I'm going to let you do you, unless you come into my space with something that will then harm me.
Nick, you cannot be that ignorant. Do you not realize that culture impacts everybody? That's like a parent who really thinks that they can keep their kids from hearing certain music, from seeing certain movies. They're going to school. Unless you just keep a bubble around your kid and just lock them in the room, then of course we are all going to get exposed to the cultural influences of the society that we live in. So Nick Cannon trying to act as if these things, because it's not, unless there's somebody that's coming up to one of my children or me and trying to physically abuse them, then I have no issue with it. No. These cultural impacts, they change the way that we see the world. They change our perspective. They change our behavior. They change what we deem as principled compared to, they change how we're going to identify what's godly, what's demonic, what's positive, what's negative. They change all of these things. And Nick Cannon is sitting here acting as if he's not aware of all this.
Who am I to judge what you do with your life.
Who am I to judge what you do with your life, bro? So then everybody should just do whatever. Everybody should just do whatever. How about being a responsible adult, Nick Cannon? That's what you are, a responsible adult with a huge influence. There's certain things that, and if you were giving business lessons, you would have no problem in saying, hey, these are some of the things that you may want to do. These are the strategies. This is a gem that you may want to look out for. These connections. This is how I create my business plan. This is how I put together these things. He would have no problem giving that. But when it comes to these other areas, he's acting like, yo, who am I? You know, I can't tell you anything. I can't, just live your life however you live your life. No, bro. No. There's certain things that we got to pick a side on what's wrong and what's right. And just like she gave the example of if it's a pedophile trying to say like, hey, I see the world. I think that grown-ups should be able to have sex with, 11, 12, 13-year-olds. Nick Cannon would have no problems, I assume, saying that's wrong. The energy wouldn't be like, well, just live your life. As long as you're not harming any of my kids, then you should be able to do whatever you want. This is so disingenuous. It's so cowardly. It's almost like this is making Candace look so more rational and so more stable, and her message be so more digestible just based on the fact that Nick Cannon, we're seeing him as a representative of what mainstream society has become. That's why I'm glad that, thank you, Nick, for providing this platform and using yourself to look so bad. So therefore we can at least be more open to the message that Candace is pushing. You are appreciated, bro.
Especially if I'm attempting to be the one that's saying, hey, I am a light. Let my reflection shine to you. So then maybe we can have discourse or whatever. But if I'm out there spewing things at a community, then
I'm not spewing things at a community. I get asked a question and I answer it. And that's the wildest part. People will literally ask me what I think, like Don Lemon did.
Yeah,
and
I saw
your
reaction. But
and then
that
people,
wasn't.
oh my gosh, I can't believe she has the audacity to say this stuff. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think, because you said you believed he was sinning based off of
his homosexual marriage. He is sinning.
But everybody's sinning. You if you eat some bacon a day, you sinning. Like
to be very clear, he then raised the point that everybody sins. I said, yes, that wasn't the question that was asked of me.
So that to me, that exchange, like I watched the whole thing. That was probably one of the softer exchanges that you guys had. So
because everybody sins, we should all be able to sin to our own discretion. Everybody sins, so everybody should just be able to do anything. See, people, this is why I've kind of circled back to an understanding or just a place in my life where I now can understand that a lot of people do need religion. I may not feel that I need it at different times. Like I may feel like I already have a personal religion that I'm looking to create and build, and certain guidelines and values that I want to live by. But everybody's going to have something that they want to live by. Either you create your own religion, I guess, and you align that with a greater purpose and a greater standard, because that's how I see God as the ultimate standard in all these areas. So either you create your own and you worship a higher standard of it, or you may go with an organized religion, because there's a lot of people that for whatever reason, and I shouldn't say for whatever reason, people are misguided, and it can be very dangerous, especially when you look at the society and culture that we are living in. If you are not following certain things, then you may get caught up in just the cultural religion, because culture could be just as religious as a religion, the culture that we live in. So this was a tough one. And let's just keep going, because I kind of lost my train of thought.
But to that point, you're fearless. You speak your truth unapologetically. But there has to be, we see you clearly don't give a fuck about what other people say about you, but knowing that you want this better place for your children, it has to lead with some sort of compassion for other people's feelings and how they feel.
No. You cannot feel compassion for lies, especially because they have become what they have what they're doing now is they're wielding compassion as a sword to pass through everything that they want done. And like I said, you were going to blink, and compassion is going to end up with minor attracted peoples. Compassion is going to mean we can no longer call them pedophiles. That is what is going to happen. It is what is happening.
Can't let that happen.
We are barreling toward that. We are barreling toward that. It's so obvious because people they would rather tell a lie than risk offending someone. That is the magic sauce. That is what they are doing. And these people aren't kind-hearted people that are, they're vicious.
I'm not saying you should tell a lie.
But that is what you're saying.
I'm just saying there's no point to be offensive.
But to apologize to someone.
But who determines whether it's offensive or not? If somebody says something to you, if somebody looks at somebody and says, hey, you're unhealthy, and the person who has it said to them says, you just disrespected me. Nah, I just said you're unhealthy, and maybe here's some things that you could work on. And matter of fact, I'm even offering to maybe provide some help. Who deems it as disrespectful or hurting my feelings? And Uncle Brother brought up a great point. This was something that he mentioned last week, which he wrote, Candace, this interview in general, Candace exemplifies the point I was making about worrying too much about what are people going to think if I say this or do that. And he said it on Friday stream. 50K in the building. Please make sure that you like. That's going to help boost the algorithm. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Please make sure that you like. That's a great point. Candace is unapologetic. And to Uncle Brother, I actually think that, see, Candace is unapologetic when it comes to her purpose. I still think that Candace would be open to listening to her husband, his opinion on certain things and her circle. But to your point, you are 100% right. Worrying too much about what other people think. If you're on your purpose, if you know that you're standing on certain truths, and if you've done your due diligence, and you know that the things that you're fighting against are worth fight, are deemed necessary to you because you understand the impact that they're making in the overall society, then you cannot care about what other people think. Think about it. If the world is as messed up as the majority of us think it is, and as far as our mindsets and how so many of us are brainwashed and all these other things, and everybody's trying to mislead us in order so they can benefit personally and selfishly, then we know that the people that are going to speak out again, they're going. Look at Jesus. Jesus was killed for this, but he stood on what he believed in. So if you're going to go against the norm and what has been deemed acceptable, then Uncle Brother's point is not only 100% right, but it's 100% necessary. You cannot concern yourself with all the distractions and all the things that people are going to be saying about you just to try to knock you off your square, get you unfocused, and pushing the mission that you believe that you're serving. So 100% with Uncle Brother on that.
Someone for simply stating the truth. It'd be different if you said, I saw Candace at Target, which you wouldn't because Target supports trans children. But let's just
you don't even go to Target.
No,
so you at Walmart.
We ain't doing Target no more, man. That's why I returned that.
But you just imagine, like, if I saw them at Walmart, it's a better idea, and they're just walking, and their shirt says "I'm non-binary." If I went up to that person and I was like, "Why are you wearing that shirt?" Okay, then you can say Candace aggressed me and did something. These people are choosing to find me when I'm being asked questions. They're choosing to pursue my content so that they can feel offended because I'm telling the truth. Literally, I'm just telling the truth. Men, I respect. No, I don't respect. I understand that gender dysphoria has always been a thing. I always feel compassion for people with mental disorders. If you told me you had bipolar, you were schizophrenic, whatever it is. But to the extent that you're going to say, hey, Candace, I'm bipolar, and now you have to pretend that I'm not bipolar, or Candace, I'm schizophrenic, and every time I switch my personality, you have to acknowledge me according to his personality. I don't have to be crazy because you're crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. So I'm sorry that some people, I'm just not sorry.
We are going to have to agree to disagree when it comes to compassion, which is fine. Because, again, I believe we probably have two different missions in life.
What's your mission, Nick?
I believe that the greatest compassion you can give somebody is with the truth so that they can edit their lives. And the only thing that's going to fix your life is truth.
She said it. She meant it. And we have one more session to go, which I really want to get into, your strength as a Black woman and origins, because I feel like that's important. Even though I know the comments is going to go crazy in this one as well. So if there's anything else that probably needs to be said, well, I'm sure we'll handle it.
I wish I could show the other clip where he said something similar, like, yo, Candace, I just want you to correct, or just to, clarify that, because I know that they're going to be looking at you in the comments saying she's crazy. And then you actually look at the comments. That's what made me look at the comments, and everybody's looking at it like, nah, you're bugging, Nick. Like, this is, yeah.
In the next session right here on Count.
All right, so that was dope. That was dope. Shout out to Nick. Shout out to Nick for having Candace Owens on there. Ew, it's Dak. Just want to thank you for checking out our video and visiting the OG Network. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure that you give us a like. And if you're looking to join a community of inspired individuals striving for purposeful abundance, subscribe. And if you're feeling real generous, share the video with some friends and family. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Ew.